in our league with the schedule, like I don't care if you're Bergen, I don't care if you're Bosco, I don't care if you're Joe's. Like you don't play well, you probably lose. So you don't play well for a little stretch. Even sometimes it was, a quarter. Like you're probably going to lose. So that's the good and the bad with this league. I mean, even that Joe's game that you were talking about, you were at in Bergen. Like I'm sure early on, like I think Hulk even said this early in the game, like they're ready to build a statue, right? Then they blow the lead and everyone's ready to fire him. Then they win, he's back at statue again. Like same game, same game, man.
Yeah. Built, torn down, and rebuilt again. I can
on the same
absolutely confirm. Yes, I can absolutely confirm that. What's going on, everyone? Neri Rodriguez, and welcome to the Garden Statement State Final Edition. We're just at the end of the road. Some will say it's the end of the road, but we'll recap some things next week. Damn. State Championship weekend is here. I can't believe it. It just feels like we were getting ready for week 0 just the other day. Bittersweet feelings. Bittersweet feelings. All right, we got some of the finales we were hoping for. Some are shocking or surprising, rather. These guys have been putting in the work all year long, and we're excited to bring you another great show. We do have some great exclusive interviews with you, including both coaches from the non-public B final between DePaul Catholic and Paramus Catholic. PC back in the mix for the first time since 2016. First time in the new restructure NJSIAA playoffs with the regional overall titles, whatever you want to call them. Special moment for Coach Greg Russo. Alumni took that program over. They hadn't won in about 2 years, and now, they're back in the final. In a return to glory days. Shout out to Jabril Peppers and a bunch of other players that and coaches that made that program what it is. But so we have those interviews coming your way, as well as the breakdowns for all the games going down this Black Friday, Sunday, and we have the headline matchup on Wednesday between Shabazz and Camden. Before that, we're going to flash back to last Friday, going all the way out to Peaburg as Ramapo looking for some get back against the State Liners as they look to advance to Rutgers. And you know the story with these two, a pair of one-loss teams duking it out to go to the Group 4 state final. Peaburg winning this exact matchup last year, but Ramapo leaving no doubt in 2025. Liam Hayward getting in on the opening drive from 3 yards out gives Ramapo an early 7-0 lead. Peaburg would tie it up and then eventually take a 3-point lead to begin the second quarter. But the Ramapo offense too much in this one. Gino Gorga getting in from 2 yards out, going to put Ramapo back up 14-10. And then with time expiring in the second quarter, Casey Grusser get dunked on. The sensational quarterback giving the Raiders a 21-10 lead at halftime. And their defense doing a great job of containing that deadly Peaburg run game. Gino Gorga going to get in for his second score to put the Raiders up 28-10 to begin the third quarter. Peaburg would answer back with a 1-yard Sam Deck touchdown not too long after. But Casey Grusser came to play in this one. Not one, but two great passing touchdowns. State Liners didn't have an answer. Grusser finished this one 16 of 17 passing for 186 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. His rushing score gives him 3 total on the day, as Ramapo taking it 41-20, advancing to the Group 4 state final. The Raiders leave no doubt and head back to the big game for the first time since 2023. They will look to capture their first overall state championship against a very talented Winslow team. We caught up with head coach Nick Gattuso after.
Look, I'm incredibly proud of this group of kids. We talked about all week, like the bus ride going home from here last year. What could we do? What could I do as a coach? What could each kid do as a player to get better and hopefully get a chance to come back here? And, it was a long year, long off season, but the kids worked really, really hard, and I'm really proud of each and every one of them. And, it's an amazing feeling to come back out here a year later and just show all the work that they've been doing. This game wasn't won tonight. This game was won, in the off season that we had and the practices that we have each and every day. So, just thrilled for our kids, really proud of our coaches. Just, I'm ecstatic right now.
Shout out to Poe. They're really going to need to bring it in their next one as they will square up against Winslow, who just narrowly escaped a talented Brick Memorial squad. Shout out to them. But let's jump into our interview portion of the show. As mentioned in the show intro, the non-public B final going down between Paramus Catholic and DePaul Catholic. DePaul playing in their 5th straight title game at MetLife. For PC, it's the first time they're in a state final since 2016. Coach Greg Russo, since coming over, former PC alumni, coming over after a great stint at Northern Highlands, has revitalized this program, and that freshman class that took that leap of faith with him, looks like it's paying off for them as they have defied all the odds and are currently headed to MetLife with a 6-5 record. Let's catch up with both Coach Greg Russo and Nick Campanile on what's going down this Black Friday. Our next guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. Let's welcome in Mr. Nick Campanile, the head coach of DePaul Catholic. Welcome, Coach Camp.
Thanks, Nary. I really appreciate you having me on.
For sure. Like I was just telling you, it's that time of year. I guess it's our annual meeting before MetLife, I know you've been there before, but how does it feel to punch your ticket to the non-public B final once again?
I mean, yeah, it's an incredible feeling. We've been very lucky and fortunate. It's the 5th year in a row that we're playing for a state title. And, it's really cool for our seniors to have been the first team that I can remember in quite some time going to the state championship all 4 years, the last 2 years. So it's really been cool for them. And, it's always an incredible experience. Each year is a little different, but, it's an incredible honor to be able to play there and to make it to this point in the season.
For sure. And even though you've been there so consistently, each cast has been different. Yeah. Last year you had a pair of one of the best wide receiver duos I've ever seen reporting, in Dez and Elijah. Yeah. And, you've been fortunate. You have Derek Zammit back there, who many regard as the best quarterback in the state of New Jersey. What was the story though for the 2025 Spartans? I know Derek was back there, but who was the supporting cast though for you this year?
Yeah, so it's been really awesome to see our seniors step up and a couple of juniors too along the way here. But I guess the story was replacing all those great players that we lost a year ago. You had mentioned Dez and Elijah, like you said, 2 of the best high school receivers I've seen, and replacing Nolan James. We had some incredible players last year, Michael Troutman. So it wasn't easy to replace them. Deshaun Stewart's another one, but a lot of guys have stepped up. Raheem Thomas has had a great year. AJ Larkin had an incredible year. Marquand Carter's closing in on 1,000 yards rushing. He's been a huge asset for us, and it's been great to see those guys. Mason James has had an incredible year. He was, and Mason's, was unfortunately kind of the third wheel with Dez and Elijah for the last couple of years. And it's been cool to see him kind of take the reins of a number 1 wide receiver. So yeah, very proud of the way our guys have stepped up.
Yeah, you're back in the championship again. Many things the same. You went through Holy Spirit again to get to this point. But this time, no Red Bank Catholic waiting for you on the other side. You have Paramus Catholic, and I know that's near and dear to your heart. We were just talking, grew up on that field. Your dad coached there. What's it like that? You drew the Paladins this time around.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, man. Yeah, and like I was telling you earlier, it's always strange playing them because I literally did grow up on that field. My father was the head coach there my whole childhood, and I played there for him a couple of years. And so it's always mixed feelings when playing them. Part of me is always going to be a Paladin, but right now I'm a Spartan, and I couldn't be prouder of that. And we're fired up for Friday, man. So it's going to be a great game.
For sure. And I was actually talking to Coach Russo this weekend, and we were just talking about playoff football, and he goes, "You'd rather get your rival at home instead of like MetLife. Do you think you would rather play Paramus Catholic at MetLife rather than having to go there? You think it'd be a little tougher?"
Yeah, I do. It for me, it's weird playing there. I always have a strange feeling because it brings back so many memories from my childhood. But yeah, so I would definitely rather it be at a neutral site and at MetLife. There's no better place to play than that, obviously. So yeah, I'm happy with the draw. The time of day, not exactly my not exactly fired up about that, but it is what it is. We'll take it any way we can get it.
2 years in a row, man. 2 years in a row. And yeah, you gotta
Breakfast bowl.
yeah. Yeah, for real. They gotta show my guys some respect. This is the non-public B championship.
Yeah.
All right. We got people still waking up after Thanksgiving.
That's right.
But Coach, like you said, 5 years in a row. Your guys are no stranger to preparing for a game like this. But what take us through a week of preparation, getting ready for a state final like this.
Yeah. So, the good thing is we have been there before, so we know the routine now. We've kind of got it down to a science, obviously you don't get as much time in pregame. So the lead up to it is a little different. And, you have to go through security check at the stadium and a lot of different things that, typically do on a Friday night. So, but we'll be prepared for all those things. And then throughout the week, it always seems to be Thanksgiving week that we play the state championship. So we've kind of figured out a good schedule on how to go about practice. We have half day Wednesday, and we'll practice earlier on Wednesday, and we'll have a team meal Wednesday night together, our last kind of team meal, Thanksgiving feast. And so we've kind of got the schedule down pat now because I haven't been there a couple of years. So I think that definitely is an advantage.
And with Thanksgiving coming up, I don't know if you're going to be getting together with all the fam, but you are part of the football family in New Jersey. I know Vito won't be playing this time around. I'm sure he's going to be there supporting you, but just talk about. I know we spoke about it last time, but just talk about this ride. What you got and Anthony doing a bang up job with the Jags and everything. Just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, Thanksgiving is always a great time, and always, we're always together talking football. Unfortunately, Anthony will be doing his thing down in Jacksonville, and Nunzio's up in Syracuse. So I won't see those guys, but I'll definitely see Vito on Thanksgiving, and my sister. And like you said, I'm sure he'll be there Friday to support. He's such a great supporter of ours, and he's taught me so much, and it's just anytime I can spend with Vito is a good time.
And I'm assuming, I mean, I know you've spoken to him after last Friday's game against Don Bosco, but I'm not sure if you were, if you watched any replays of the game or anything like that, but just I guess kind of just speak on that, and just being there for him and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's always hard watching your brother go through that. I know how hard he worked this year and how much he put into that game and the preparation. And I know he was really, really bummed out. On the bright side, his son Dominic got his second start on Saturday up at Holy Cross, playing at Fenway Park. So I know Vito went up there. Yeah, and Dominic played great. They got a huge win, and so I think that kind of cushioned the blow a little bit for Vito watching that. I hope it did, at least. So yeah, I mean, it's always tough to see that, and as a brother, you just want to be there and support, and let them know that you're there for them going through times like that.
has has he given you any kind of pointers, anything like that? Has he given you pep talk?
I mean, yeah, he always does. Always has some great inspiring things to say. But I guess he's won so much, man. I guess you can't win them all, right? He's won 4 in a row, so I guess you got to be happy with where they're at with that program. He's done such an incredible job, and would have been nice to see him pull it off again. But they had a great year, and they're a really young team. I think they're going to be really good again next year. So he's got it rolling for sure.
Yeah, we were only asking him to win 5 state titles in a row. Nothing crazy. But he's such a great guy. And, one of my favorite moments, he's like you said, he's won so much. I had a photo with him after he got Gatorade dumped on him. It's still one of my favorites, but I'm hoping to see him there. Like you said, moving away from all the personal stuff, you did see Paramus Catholic once this year. You did take them down. Just kind of talk about that playing a factor into this matchup and what you learned from that first matchup with PC.
Yeah, I mean, they're a really good football team. I mean, and I think they're playing better and better each week. I mean, offensively, they're putting up 50, 60 points. It's incredible what they're doing. And yeah, we did play them earlier in the year, and we were lucky to come away with a win, to be honest with you. Anybody that was at that game would tell you it was a really, really close game. We, made a couple key plays down the stretch and caused a turnover, and that was really the difference in the game. I mean, that was a nail biter, and I expect this one to be as well, man. This is going to be a great game. They're really, really talented. They have tremendous team speed. They're really well coached. So it's going to be – we've got our work cut out for us. It's going to be a heck of a game Friday. But I know our boys are going to show up and play their hearts out. And I think our coaches did a great job of putting together a really good plan. So hopefully we go out and execute it Friday.
Yeah, and – you guys are definitely one of these teams, and I believe I said this about Paramus Catholic also, but you guys are one of these teams that, the record doesn't tell the whole story, 7-4, but you went through one of the hardest schedules in the entire state. I mean, you played both Don Bosco and St. Joe's Montville.
Right.
You've seen the best talent in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I guess which one of these games so far really stuck out to you and why?
Yeah, obviously Don Bosco's having a heck of a year defensively. They're as good as it gets. But St. Joe's is really talented too, man. And we had a good game with them, but they kind of pulled away. They wore us down a little bit in the second half. And again, the team speed, they remind me of Paramus Catholic. They got a lot of guys who are really explosive and can score a touchdown from anywhere on the field. So, I think that's going to be a heck of a game Friday too. It's clearly right now the number 1 and 2 team in the state, and I think St. Joe's. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be down on the wire. I think just like our game Friday morning.
Absolutely, and I guess I'll straight up just ask you, who do you think is going to win in that matchup?
Put me on the spot there, huh? I just think. Don Bosco, it seems like it's their year. It really does. They're just playing really well right now, playing with a lot of confidence. But it's tough to make a choice, man. I could easily see St. Joe's winning that game. In fact, it probably, it looked like they were going to win the first time they played. Line up for a field goal to end the game, and I think had a bad snap or something like that. But that game could really go either way. But what Don Bosco's done this year has been very impressive.
For sure. And, reiterated from many people, especially myself, we saw them, I saw them 2 or 3 times, but that defense is incredible.
Yeah.
And very resilient, and they'll give up a big play, but man, like red zone opportunities. I mean, against Bergen, I know they committed some penalties, Bergen, but just the ability to just stand tall like that, they are very impressive.
No doubt.
So Coach, I know, you took the L to Bosco and Joe's, and Del Barton as well. I was almost at that game actually, and that
Yeah.
was the same day as Bergen.
That's
Joe's
the day
made this play.
That's the
Yeah,
day
what did
get, my friend.
yeah. What did you learn from each of those losses? And so far, because you guys, you bounced back from all that, but what did you learn from those losses, and how did it propel you so far in the postseason?
Yeah, so it's tough, having lost. You mentioned we lost 4 games. Our first game our second game of the season was to Good Counsel from Washington D.C., and that was a game we were losing 21-0 at halftime. Came all the way back, scored to make it 21-20 with like 30 seconds to go in the game, and unfortunately we missed the extra point and lost 21-20. So what I learned that night is that this team is going to fight through anything. They'll never lay down, and no matter what the score is, we're still in the game. We're always in the game, and then each week, you kind of learn something new, whether it's deficiencies that you may have that need to get fixed, that get exposed versus a certain opponent, or whatever it is. Week to week as coaches, we have to figure out what those things are and hopefully improve upon them. And I think we've been able to do that in all of our losses. The only loss that really got to me this year was the Del Barton game. I just didn't feel like we just didn't even get off the bus that day. I don't know what happened. We just didn't show up and played the without question the worst game we had played this year. And hats off to them. They played a great game, but we just for whatever reason we just didn't show up that day.
Coach, I don't want to keep you too much longer. You've done this so many times, but I know you're a football guy through and through. Well, what are you looking forward to most about Friday morning?
Friday morning, yeah. So there's a lot of things. This senior class is just hopefully watching them go out on top would be really special. Derek Zammit is a 4-year starter at quarterback, and I've been coaching him so long, man. I don't even know what it's like to coach another quarterback. I can barely remember, the last time I had a different quarterback. So, the relationship I have with Derek is special, and I love to see him, go out on top and before he goes off and does great things in college. But, he's not the only one. This whole senior class is really special. Logan Nagel's an incredible kid and incredible player. Marlon Bright, Logan Montaigne, Jackson Bastante, I've known since he was 6 or 7 years old. Coached his older brother years ago, and so this is a really special group to me. And I told them after the game last Friday night, I said that they're really the class that built this program into what it is. That they're it just keeps getting better in my opinion, and they're the face of it. And couldn't be prouder of them. It's going to be really sad to see all of them go Friday, but hopefully it's a celebration afterward that we can remember for a long time.
I love that. And last question, Coach, before I let you go, for those who don't know, what does the rest of the state need to know about the DePaul Spartans and their matchup with Paramus Catholic in the non-public B Championship at MetLife this Friday?
Yeah, it's going to be a great game, man. I know GC will be really well prepared, and they got some great players over there, and they're going to show up and play their hearts out, and so are we. I mean, you're going to see a great football team between two of the best in New Jersey. So if you like high school football, man, this is where it's at. I wouldn't miss this one. I really I think it's going to be an incredible game, and it's going to go down to the wire. And whoever makes the plays toward the end and wants it more is going to go out on top and be a state champ. So it's not going to come easy for either of us.
Well, Coach, good luck this week, and we will definitely be watching, hopefully from inside the stadium.
Sounds good. Nary, I really appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure talking with you, and I appreciate you having me on.
For sure. Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Our next guest is no stranger to the show. He was just here recently. Feels just like yesterday. And speaking off camera, we spoke this into fruition. Coach Greg Russo of Paramus Catholic, welcome.
Thanks for having me back, man.
For sure, Coach. It was a no-brainer. Paramus Catholic back in a state final as an alumni and just a coach that took this program on and, late 2021, early 2022. What does it mean to you to hear that
really
statement?
It's really cool. And like for me, it's not so much for me. It's like the kids, like, you get older, like as a coach, you've been there before. And even as a coach at Paramus Catholic, we've been there before. But for this group, for where the program was when I took it over, these guys were incoming freshmen, like when I took this job over. So for them, they're seniors now. And it's like, they've worked really hard. We've gotten better, and we're playing some pretty good ball, and we're to get them to that spot. It's like it's great for them to see, like, hey, if you actually work and you stay with something, you can do something. And they're headed to MetLife with a chance to win it, and I'm just really excited for them.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, you guys are the definition of the record. Your record doesn't tell the whole story. You're 6-6, and honestly, I say this confidently, you're probably the best 6-6 team in the entire state based upon the schedule you put together. I mean,
Yeah,
you open
I
with
thought our
St.
schedule
Peter's
was really
Prep.
good. I also think we've gotten a lot better through the year. Like if we had played some of those early games now, I'm sure a lot of teams feel like this at the end of the year, but like I really feel like we would have won a lot of them and like convincingly. But we started out, we've gotten better through the year, and our schedule's really tough. But I thought it was a fun thing. Even our bye week, like I asked the kids in the off season, like, would you rather play another game? And I'm like, because it's school from New York, one of the best teams from New York asked me, would you guys want a bye week or do you want to play another game? They were all like, the whole team was like, another game. So we played 10 games in the regular season. And it was Iona Prep, who's really good. At the time, they were ranked like top 20 in the country, I think. So like, it's been, every week was tough. And it's been fun because in all those games, we had a chance to win. I mean, even some of the ones that looked like 2 scores, they really weren't. They were 1 score. We either let the team score, try to get the ball back, or, something happened late that kind of flipped it. But pretty much every game but the Bergen game was like a winnable. I don't want to say winnable, but like we had a chance in those games to win the game, right? And that's really the case in all these games. Like you watch all these playoff games, right? And even when someone wins by a couple scores, if you ever watched a tape, it's really like a play or two turns it. Something happens, someone gets a pick, or the ball bounces a different way, and then everybody acts like that team's way better than the other team because that team won. And the truth is, and it's what keeps coaches up at night, is like a lot of times those margins are really small, and you're just hoping that those plays go your way, and you're hoping you're repairing them enough that when that opportunity to make the play presents itself, they're ready to do it. And sometimes it means you're really good and no one wants to hear this. And sometimes it's a little bit of luck, right? And you hope that you prepped it so much that those happen for you more. Like that's the whole point of prepping, right? But I think a lot of these teams are really good. And if you played these teams, especially in these playoff games, if you played them 10 times, you might have, 5 and 5 different outcomes, So I think in football, it's the craziest one because you don't get to play a best of 7. It's like one time, even if you beat them earlier, it doesn't matter. You lose this game, they're better than you, and they go on, right? So, I mean, it is a different kind of game, but I think you can also get lost in like, well, this team's better than that team, and this team stinks, and this team's so much different than this team. And the truth is, like, these teams are really close. And you can see it by the results. Like, who beats who by how much. They play the next team, it's close. We talked about that a lot even the last time, and then I forgot what happened, but it was exactly what we were talking about. So,
I think you were getting ready. You had just come off the RBC win. So you were getting ready for Bosco, I believe. So that's when we had you on.
Right. Yeah. And they're a really good football team. And I know they had a big win this weekend. I didn't get to see a lot of the games we were playing, but I've heard about it.
Yeah. What just overall, what was your reaction when you saw the final result from Bosco and Bergen? I believe they won definitively. They're at least beaten by 2 scores. It was like 30-10.
I was surprised. I'm not in that game. Like nothing's going to shock you. Like someone beating the other team. I was surprised at the margin, but I really didn't see the game. I've heard about it a little bit. It sounded like a play before the half, kind of spun it. And that's how these games go. It's like, someone makes a play and then something kind of gets his fire, and all the teams are so good that the momentum's real. And then, you kind of go from there. But these things happen in a one game. That's the thing with football. In a one game loser go home type thing, anything could happen, So that's why nothing would really shock me, in these games. Like it's why even when we play and we play Red Bank Catholic, who we beat a couple weeks ago, and everyone's like, "Oh, you feel really good? You beat them already?" And I'm like, "No," because you watch that tape and you go, "Hey." You go a couple plays go the other way, yeah, you don't win this game, So you got to prepare like that. I mean, whether you won the game or lost the game, it's like because everyone thinks you want to be the team that won, and I think statistically that shows that it is you want to be the team that won, but the team that lost tinkers all year trying to figure out what they got to do to win that game, right? And when you win, You do, you say you do, but you're kind of like, hey, we already did this, like we can do it again. So I think both those things, as a coach, you can spin it either way you want, probably. But it's always tough to beat a team twice in the year. So I think that's what those guys get. So it's been fun for us. The Red Bank, like our game with Red Bank, this game is completely different than last time, like completely.
Yeah, for sure. And, just kind of, I don't want to spend too much time on Bergen Bosco, but yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Was Bosco wins at home against Bergen, and then they have to do it again. If anything, I was a little more nervous for Bosco, but they took care of business. I know it looked like Bergen was handling them early, and they did what they had to do. We were just talking about their defense offline here, and it's probably the best defensive unit. You called it the best in the parochials.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're really good. They make things hard for you on offense. Their D line is really good. A couple of their backers that do a good job. Like they just do a good job. They make you work. They get to the quarterback. We played there and had some success early, I felt like, and didn't capitalize on some things. And then as soon as you get down like 2 scores, though, it starts avalanching on you. You really got to be in situations you can kind of keep them on their toes. And as soon as they're not, as soon as they know they have a 2-score lead, it's like, now you're getting everything. They're really good. And, I'm sure they'll do pretty well. They got a big game with Joe's coming up. I didn't see the game, so it's hard for me to like really tell you any insight here because I don't know. But, I know all those guys pretty well. They all do a great job with the program. And I'll tell you what, there's a reason why you work really hard to be home in the playoffs, because I was reading some stuff online where people were talking about, Bosco is worried about getting Bergen at home and, getting Bergen earlier in the playoffs. And I was always of the opinion, and still am, if you got to play the team that you're worried about the most, wouldn't you rather play them at home than at Giant Stadium? Because I would. MetLife, I'm aging myself here, Giant Stadium. But, to me, if you, let's say the team that you're worried about the most, and let's just assume it's Bergen. I don't know, but they've been playing a lot in the finals, right? If I was a team, I'd want to play that team at home, because that's where most teams play the best. I mean, in the past, years ago, we used to get Bosco all the time in the semi. I loved getting them at home instead of like, they'd be like, oh, you got screwed on the bracket and they're on your side. It's like, good. We're the 1 seed. They got to come to us. Like, to me, why would you want to play on a neutral field if you had the choice, right? So, I think for those guys, I think that gets overlooked because in high school, you're like, oh, they're so close together. There's no road trip. It's still, you come out of your locker room, you do your exact routine you always do, right? Like and when you're playing in the playoffs, all those little things, I'm not saying it wins and loses the game, but it's nice. You eat the meal exactly when you eat the meal. You do your mass exactly how you do the mass. The kids are on the field exactly, like everything's exactly how you want it. I think for games like that, I think it's big. It's why you want to be a higher seed and you want to get home playoff games. Not that you can't do it on the road. Teams do it all the time, but like I do think if you can pick, I think that was a big advantage. I think it was a big advantage of us to have Red Bank have to come up to us and probably not go to school that day so they can get up there earlier. I don't know. And we were in our regular routine. I felt like that's an advantage for sure.
Yeah, I was out in Phillipsburg for Ramapo Phillipsburg, and it was an exact rematch of the semifinal last year, and Ramapo got blown out. So, and you know what? They took care of business.
Yeah, I heard that.
On the road, hostile territory. And yeah, for Phillipsburg, I was a little disappointed because they kept emphasizing over the loudspeaker, no, it's the final home game of the year. Because, that's it. And then if they move on, it's MetLife or Rutgers, and then they have the big Easton game that they that they care about more than
like
the actual state championship. Yeah. Which is, it's a little wild, but I love those guys. So I had your schedule up there because honestly, I do believe after looking at it, I think you played the hardest schedule, but you saw all these guys. So you saw Bergen, you saw St. Joe's, and then you already saw DePaul once this year. You took down Red Bank Catholic twice. As you played St. Peter's. Out of all these teams that are still alive, I guess in non-public, which one stuck out to you the most? And who do you think is going to be crowned in the Joe's Bosco matchup?
Who knows, man? They're all really good in their own. They all do different things, right? I mean, it's like that's the thing. That's the kind of the cool thing with the parochials. You could, if you want to make a case for any of them, you can. And you can see a way that Joe's wins. You can see a way that Bosco wins. In our game, I'm sure you can see a way either team wins. And that's what makes it great because, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, there's no way that Joe's can beat Bosco. There's no way Bosco can beat Joe's. They played during the year. It was 14-14. They went to overtime. I mean, a kick goes different. You know, you have a different winner, right? So it's like you already saw that both teams can win. You know, I think both teams are really good on like in that game, both teams are really good on defense. I think both teams are defensive football teams first that want to run the ball and kind of control the game. And, you know, they both can make plays in the passing game. They have good receivers, but like if you ask them, I'm sure they want to run the ball and they want to play defense. So it's the kind of games you're going to get. And it's whoever can probably break through and break open the offense and open it up a little bit will probably win that game, I would guess. You know, in our game, it's a little different. I would say both of us, if you ask people in our league, would probably say we're offensive teams, probably. But, you know, in different games, you've watched DePaul where their defense is awesome. There's been games our defense is better than us. It happens in football. It's a matchup thing, you know, sometimes. But I think the games are very different in that way that, you know, I think anything can happen in either game. And if you looked at our game against DePaul, like I forgot what it ended, but it was 2014. We were driving to win the game late. We had a turnover in the red zone, or we probably win the game, and then we turned it over, and they scored running the clock out, so it ends up being a 2-score game. But I think we had like 500 yards of offense or something in the game, and we just didn't finish very well in the red zone. And that's football, man. We lost, but the good thing is we got them again, and you get a chance to do it over, and you get to fix some of those mistakes, right? And you know that's kind of the fun part about playing in this time of the year is like we're both going to have those tapes, and I get along, you know, with Coach Camp pretty well, and we exchange everything and say, all right, let's go coach and let's see who wins.
That's awesome. And you have experience with this program. Like I said, you know, you're an alumni, you've coached here. You had success in Northern Highlands, came back and really tried to restore it to glory. 2016, I believe, is the last time you guys hoisted some hardware, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, having championship experience, preparing for championship games, what do you think is going to be the most important part of preparing for this matchup with DePaul this week?
I mean, I know a lot of people always try to say, oh, you stay in your same routine, you don't change anything, it's another game. Like you hear all the coaches say that all the time. I've heard it my whole life, and you try to do that. But I think also at this point in the year, you've been doing it for so long. Like, you know, my guys have been going, all of us, all these guys that are left, have been going since June mostly. Most of these kids haven't been a week off since July 4th, probably, right? So it's like you've been going for a while. So you kind of want to use some of the juice of the game, I think. And everyone's different, but like use some of the juice to get these guys going. A lot of them are banged up. They've been through a long year. They've been practicing a long time. Yeah, they're excited, but like they've been doing a lot of the same stuff over and over again, right? So it's like, I think you do want to walk that line of, hey, it's the same way I prepare. It's a game, you know, at the same time, use some of the juice. It's like, this is pretty cool. We're playing the championship game. I'll tell you what the best part about it is. It has nothing to do with winning or losing the championship game to me. I don't know if any of the coaches think like this, but like your kids get to go out on their terms, meaning like, let's say we lost this game Friday. I'd be like, hey, tomorrow we got to give back equipment and they got to come in. They didn't know they were doing that, and you have to plan it and get their stuff back. And you're doing all these logistical things when you're emotional about your kids leaving, and it's awful, right? This way, win or lose, you're like, hey, we're going to meet on Monday. Like, you know, you're going to meet all your kids. There's a finale to like, hey, you guys got to the last week. You're playing. There's only a couple teams playing in Jersey. You're one of them, right? And it's an awesome thing just to have your kids that week that you know it's the last week. Where, hey, it's our last walkthrough, it's our last Tuesday, it's our last, and we all know it, we can enjoy it, and just get ready to go. I think not to answer your question, but like to me, that's like the cool thing of playing this week. And for me, I think we're gonna mix some of that, like, you know, just being grateful that you're in it and having this experience. And for my kids, they haven't been in it. For all the coaches, we've been in these games, so for me, it's not a big deal. Like I've been in MetLife a bunch of times, had some good ones, had some bad ones. Like, you know, you learn from both, right? But for the kids, there's kind of a fun thing where they just don't know. They don't know. They've never been there. You know, like it was pretty cool. The first time we were there, we won, and it was really cool. And we were playing a team that was really experienced. It was Bergen back then, and they had been there the last couple of years. And everyone was like, "Oh, you know, it's going to be tougher than the win." They haven't been there. I think it might have helped us. We didn't know anything. We just went in, and my kids just played. They made some plays early. We hung on for dear life at the end. But like, I'm just saying, like, I think that you got to do a little of both. Like, you should enjoy that you're going there. You should get a little more pumped up because you're in that game. You should use that energy to practice and have the best Tuesday you ever had and the best Wednesday you ever had, right? Like, I think you got to use it, at least for me. And maybe I'm different. I know a lot of people do the opposite. Another game, another practice. Like, just do it like you've been doing it. And I'm sure there's something to that too, right? But like, I think like use it, because this time of the year, no matter what championship you're in, it's cold out. They've been doing it forever. Like, yeah, there's juice to this thing. Yeah, it's a big deal for the program. I mean, we emphasized this last game a lot with the seniors. Like, hey, you guys want to have a legacy, and you can look at your record and say whatever you want, but this team hasn't won 6 games since 2016. And I'll tell you what, 2016, our schedule wasn't as hard as that. I can promise you that, because I was here. So it's like, I feel like they really did accomplish something, because you put us back in, in the situation where we can go play DePaul again, which is a great team that people respect. And, you get a chance to kind of do that as a senior, and you've already done it. You've already stabilized the program, and, kids want to come here. We have a great game day environment now. We have great kids. They're doing a great thing, in the school and everything else. So it's like, it just proves that what you've been doing is worth it. Red Bank's a good football team. They've been to, I think you said it, 5 or 6 finals maybe or something. I don't know what, but they've been to the finals a bunch of times. And not even those players, right? But like, everyone knows those freshmen. But Red Bank had a lot of seniors that were really good players that have been in the championship a bunch of times. So I thought for my kids to win that game was great for them. It's another experience, right? And then you got to go play DePaul, and you got to do that. And it's just another test, but it's awesome for them. Like, I was telling them all the whole time, like, these freshmen came in, and it was like, we're never going to have a freshman. The year before, they didn't have a freshman team. So I think we had 42 freshmen when these kids came in, something like that. And, a lot of them, that was like the year after COVID. A lot of the stuff got crazy. Kids were moving. There was a lot going on. So not all of them stayed. But like, the kids that are here are all doing well. We're going to put a ton into college. They're like doing a great job in the school. The school loves them. They're great kids. And, it's just really fun to see like what they're doing. And the most great thing, everyone's like, how was it to win the game? And like, they're talking about me. And I'm like, I just like seeing them so excited, because you could tell that, like, when they got here, you tell them you can accomplish something, but they don't really know. Like, could be lying on them just to get them here, right? But they did, and to see how happy they were for their teammates and each other and the coaches and their parents were on the field, hugging people, excited. To see the seniors was really cool. And it's something I won't forget. And I've won a bunch. I've had a lot of great memories playing football. That's up there. And just because we saw, like, for anybody on the outside, it's like, oh, you made the finals, great. A lot of these teams do it all the time. And we were like that a couple of years ago, right? Like, we make the finals and be like, we're supposed to be here type of thing. I'm sure that's what it feels like for some of these teams, right? But like, to not have a program, like to not win a game in 2 years and have a program, an undergrad program where there was no JV and no freshmen, to build a program that's in the finals and, the kids are happy and things like that. It's a bigger deal at the moment than anyone on the outside of the program knows. It was really cool. We had a ton of alumni at the game, and it was just an awesome event, like an awesome time, like with the guys, and they were all excited that these kids got there. You saw a lot of those kids talking to each other, and like, it was a cool thing, man. So I'm excited for all of them for that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, you take down Red Bank Catholic, that is, we kind of expect to see RBC DePaul at the end of the end of the year, because that's what we've been accustomed to. And then you shake things up, and it was honestly a great breath of fresh air, and not even fresh air, just the return to almost like a different era. So it's great.
That was interesting too. When I spoke to you, we beat Red Bank, and there was a lot of people like, oh great, you beat them. Then there was this weird, like, I started doing some interviews before this game. It's like this undercurrent of like, you guys got lucky in a way. I kept kind of hearing it, like not, it wasn't said like that, but like, I'm not gonna like air out who said it, but it was a couple of different reporters. Yeah, we're saying this thing like, well, they kicked some field goals, and you guys, Rowan made this play, our quarter, and I was just like, yeah. And in the beginning, you're just like, yeah, okay. And then it got to the point where I was telling our guys, like, let's not make it. Let's just go out and, you want to win a game. We're not going to apologize how we won a football game, right? But let's not have it go to the judges. Like, let's just like,
exactly. You want to leave no doubt.
Cool. And the kids got behind that a little bit. I felt like there was more of a like, let's emphatically like show something. I mean, in football, you use what you use, right? But like at the same time, it's like, there is something for that because they are a storied program and they did beat us up a year ago, right? So we've taken strides from a year ago. And I think we proved how much stride we took in the season. Because I spoke to you, we had that game. We played Don Bosco, and the end result didn't look great. I thought we played really well, and especially on defense in that game. It was 7-0 at halftime, and really, I felt like we should have been winning like 14-7. We dropped 2 balls that we never drop. And we had one play that was a ball in the end zone that we thought was a touchdown. The safety made a great play and picked it. I was calling for extra point, and they had the ball. But like easily, one of my point is it could have been 14-7, right? But like, and if it was, I think the game goes a little different. But I was really impressed. I thought we really improved physicality in that game. I thought I saw something from the defense that, I hadn't really seen prior. It was after the Red Bank game. And even though we lost that game, I felt like they were playing a brand of football that I liked. Like we were playing a little cleaner operationally in some of the special teams, and the defense was playing better against the run. And we had Del Barton next, and Del Barton had come off a win where they kind of had their way with DePaul. I was surprised by it because I hadn't seen Del Barton much, right?
I was supposed to, crazy. I was supposed to be at that game. I shout out to Tony Negra from Del Barton, but I reached out to him to hit up that game, and then I wound up doing Joe's and Bergen. But to see the end result, I mean, both those games were insane. So,
that's what we were talking about when I was asking, see how anything could happen, because
you texted me right at
outcomes, right? Nobody would have picked those 2 outcomes before the game, and they both happened, right? So to me, we went to Del Barton. I thought we played a really good, clean game. And not to say like we were playing some wild games, shootouts, this, that. We had some crazy plays. Almost every game was crazy. Del Barton wasn't, and it was really just like sound, good football for 4 quarters, right? And we beat them, and they're a good football team, and I thought we really handled business. I thought from like the Red Bank game on, we've really been a pretty steady football team. I forgot what we did. We might be 4-1 in that stretch or something. I don't even know. But like my point is, we played really good football, right? And it's not a coincidence. And I think we're doing it at the right time. And my only, like, I love that we're in the championship game. I love that we're playing the ball. My only regret at all is like, man, it would have been cool to be playing like this earlier. I think we would have won like 10 games, but as a coach, you can't, no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you work, it's really hard to like make a team gel. Like you can't control the time. We all think we can as coaches. Like you really can't control like, oh, we're going to gel right now, week 1. Like everyone wants to, but like for me too, as a program, it's like winning is so important. Like everyone always goes, oh, you got to have a culture to win. You got to do this. You could have the best coach speak you want, best culture in the weight room, all that stuff. But if you lose football games, your kids, no matter how good at kids they are, no matter how hard they work and love you, something in their head's going to say, Coach, I did everything and we lost. Like they're not going to listen as much as you want, right? Because, well, I did everything you said and the outcome wasn't right. And we're in an outcome business. So I think my kids did a really good job over the years of like, keep listening to the message. It's harder to listen to when you don't win. So when you have some success this year and you win some games, and I felt like the Del Barton game especially was like, the kids were like, oh, like this thing you've been saying, like, oh, we can beat these teams and it won't be close. Like we can win a game by a lot by just like, and I'm not saying that in any way, but I could tell from that point on, and even before that, like even the Red Bank game, there was been a different like, oh, I'm not going to be late to the lift. I'm going to get in the lift and work my ass off. And I'm going to do everything he says exactly like, because I like this thing. I like this celebrating thing after the game. We're in the playoffs. We have home playoffs. That's a whole different thing. And I think when we were on top, you take that for granted, like, because you expect to win and your kids already come into that and they come in like, oh, I want to win. This is how you do it. This is how you do it when you win, right? For us and these kids, like they hadn't won a game. The kids that took over hadn't won a game for 2 years. So they don't know anything about winning, right? And then you bring in freshmen into that. And it's like, what's the lesson for them? The coaches are saying this is how you do it, but those kids don't know. So these freshmen are the first group that came through us. So for them to be the ones that have kind of done, and last year we did it a little bit in the beginning and then we got some injuries. But like, I feel like this group has made it possible for everybody else to go, this is what you do at PC. This is how you win these games, right? And I think it's way more powerful than any play I draw up, like, because, I'd like to think we do some cool stuff, but at the same time, it's like, what makes it work when the kids are really good and they trust what they're doing. And in this game, we had a different plan in the first game. And I thought it worked really well. I thought they did a great job executing it. And we had some great individual performances. Like the running back ran for a lot of yards, obviously. And everyone goes, oh, man, that running back did a great job. I'm like, he did. The line was also awesome. So it's like the line, the both tight ends, our other running back did a good job. Like, like all the kids, I felt like when you run for a lot of yards, it's not just the back, hate to break it to everybody, but it's like it's everybody. So it's a pretty cool thing. The whole thing is cool. I'm sorry, I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, you did. Coach, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but you already played DePaul once. Pulling up the final score here. Yeah, so you already played DePaul once. You lost 26-14. Mm-hmm. What did you learn from that loss, and how do you turn that around this time against the Spartans in the non-public B final at
Playing
MetLife?
Twice is always interesting, man, because you get caught in like, hey, this thing worked last time, I should do it again. Like, and you realize like, hey, the other team has that tape too. They know that worked. They're probably pretty smart coaches. They're probably making adjustments. So you get torn between like, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And like, well, they know that too. Like, so, and they're good coaches. We're not the only ones with the tape, right? So I think I think the one thing you learn is just how good the quarterback is. He's like sensational. I mean, he's as good as you're going to see in high school football. Like he's the real deal. I mean, I've seen him since he's I guess I got back in the league when he was a sophomore, but he's way better than he was like young. Like he can make plays on his own. Like before he had a lot of, even last year, there's a lot of great receivers, a lot of great running back. Like now he's just like you see a play every week, like playing Bosco. He had a crazy highlight in the beginning. They played somebody else. Maybe it was St. Joe's. He had almost the same run. Like, and you're just like, hey, they did everything right. And this kid just went 70, he's got that ability. He's got a live arm. He can throw the ball anywhere. So he really, when you see him in person, like there is no like, take a breath. Like on defense, you got to be worried every single play. And you got to be sound, or the ball can either go in the air 70 yards or you can run it there. That's a big thing. I mean, we knew that already, but you see it in person, you know it. And it puts stress on you, on the defense, because you gotta worry about that all the time. Then other guys beat you, right? The run game beats you now. The receiver beats you because you're worried about the Q. That's not every week. Like you play in this league, there's a lot of great players. I mean, he's the best. I'd say he's the best quarterback this year. I don't think there'd be a lot of arguments with that right now. In terms of like scaring you, he can do that. They do a great job on offense. They're really multiple. They change gaps. They trade guys over. They make you play the flat. They'll put a second guy in the flat. Like, they do things off that. They do a good job. And defensively, I mean, they're, 32. I don't know his name. He's a really good player. Is it Nagel? Is it something Nagel? I want to say. He's a really good player. I think he's going to Miami. He was really exceptional in the game he played. They have some good backers. Like they're good on defense too. They have some players that can play. So, that's what you learned. I mean, I also learned on our side, we had a lot of yards. I think we had a pretty good plan. We executed pretty well. Marco Green was his last game healthy. I think we had something like close to 300 yards passing and like around 240 rushing, something like that. So I think we were over 500 yards, which is a really good number. It's not a good number, 14 points to have 500 yards. So like, when you look at like your offensive production, you're like, okay, a lot of this was good, but we scored 14 points, so it's not good, and like you're not going to beat DePaul scoring 14 points, normally I wouldn't say. So like to me, it's like, well, we got to finish those drives and we got to make them touchdowns. We got to make adjustments, and I think we are a much better football team than the team that played that game, and I think we could have won that game. And I think anybody that was at that game would probably say it. People that weren't there just assume we got like blown out or something. That was 20-14. We were driving. I think there was under 5 minutes left. We were inside the 20. It was first down. We had a run play that got like 6 yards. It was going to be like 2nd and 3. And at the end of the play, the running back fumbled and they got the ball. And then while they had the ball kind of running the clock out, they popped the run. But what could have happened if we didn't fumble, we would have taken it down to probably nothing. Either scored or would have came down to the extra point, probably with no time left. So like, that's how close the game was, And I think the defense, on the flip side, I think we actually played defense really well, a lot of plays. But the couple plays we didn't, they made massive plays and scored touchdowns. So it was the opposite of us. We had a lot of yards and no points. They didn't have a lot of great plays, but they made massive plays and scored touchdowns, right? And that's how the game goes. Like, it was one of those games where I think I even talked to Dick about it. Like, maybe we're at the JV game. Like, let's say there's 170 plays in the game. We probably won way more than they did. But when they won, it was 7. So like we won and got in the red zone and didn't score. So, I think that's where we got to do a better job. And I think that's a lot of like things you can work on, it gives you a lot more like, hey, we can do this. And I think we're way better. We're way better in every phase right now. We're better up front. I think we've done a better job scheming the run game in the last couple of weeks. We've done a better job, I think, on both sides of the ball, putting our guys in better positions where they can be successful. And, the more you play, the more you learn about your players and what they do better. So like, I think we've done a good job with that. I think the kids are also understanding like exactly what their role is. We played better special teams, which we weren't in the beginning of the year. I think we've been pretty good on specials the last couple of weeks. That actually probably sets up everything else, honestly. When teams aren't starting from the other side of the 50 and they're starting, inside their 30, it's a little different, right? So I think all those things we've gotten better on, and it allows you to play cleaner, better football and let all our great athletes do what they do and make plays. And we have a ton of them, but like, it's fun, man. It's fun calling plays for them. I feel like we have 2 really good running backs. We have 2 really good tight ends. We have a bunch of receivers that are all great. The line's been gelling really well. So like, I think it's just fun. I wish we could just keep playing, but this is the last one. Is the bummer of it all. I got to lose all my seniors that I'm pretty attached to. So, we want to send them off the right way, and just and all even everything else, and play really good, clean football, and let's see where we stack up. Because so far when we've done that, it hasn't been close when we have. All right, but our problem is even in the same game, we can go from playing great to just like not so great, and it's like this much difference. So that's the razor's edge you play on when you play in this league, and everyone can play. And you know what? When I was in Highlands, the edge wasn't that big. We'd have games where we were just better because in public there's a bigger discrepancy, I think, a lot of times. And you can win a game when you don't have your A game. Like I'm sure Ramapo had games where like they didn't have their A game, they probably won by a lot. In our league with the schedule, like I don't care if you're Bergen, I don't care if you're Bosco, I don't care if you're Joe's. Like you don't play well, you probably lose. So you don't play well for a little stretch. Even sometimes it was, a quarter. Like you're probably gonna lose. So that's the good and the bad with this league. Even that Joe's game that you were talking about, you were at in Bergen. Like I'm sure early on, like I think Hulk even said this early in the game, like they're ready to build a statue, right? Then they blow the lead and everyone's ready to fire him. Then they win, he's back at statue again. Like same game, same game, man.
Yeah, built, torn down, and rebuilt again. I can
all the same
absolutely confirm. Yes, I can absolutely confirm that.
Yeah, and then 4 inches makes you a genius, or you're the worst coach ever, right? If the guy doesn't get the ball in, he's an idiot. You know what I mean? That's how crazy our league is. It's what makes it awesome too, right? Because it gives it juice. Like it's the fun part about our league, and also what makes it tough because it could be something so minute, like a ball crossing a line 4 inches, right? And now everything one program did is bad. Everything the other program did is good. These guys are bad. Their kids should leave. You should get fired. Your ROC stinks. And then the kid gets it over the line by this much. And everyone's a genius. Oh my God, what a great play. My kid should go there. I'll pay for someone else to go there. Like, it's like, it's and you look at it and you just step back from it. You're like, nothing really different happened here, right? But like, it's what makes it awesome. It's what makes our league awesome. It's what makes the state finals awesome and the playoffs. And you just do your best to put your kid on the side of the ledger that won, right? So that's what we're all working for.
Coach, good luck this week. I'm immensely happy for you guys. Like I said, I was there when you got back to PC, took it over. It's honestly insane to see the job that you've done. So good luck this week.
Thank you.
All
man.
right. And it's good to see PC back in the final there.
It's exciting, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
All right, let's welcome in our next guest coming from all the way in South Jersey in the Atlantic City area. Let's welcome in Coach James Melody of Cedar Creek. Welcome.
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me on.
For sure. Playoff football in Jersey means, we're not too shocked to see the Pirates here, but just tell me, what's the feeling being back in a title game?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's been a really good run for us as a school. I mean, we've been around for 15 years playing varsity football. We just won our 4th sectional title. We just won our 2nd regional title. And now we get an opportunity for the first time in school history to play for an overall state championship. So the vibe in the school is great. The kids are playing at a really high level right now. We're really excited about the opportunity we have ahead of us.
Yeah, and you kind of segued into my next question here. Cedar Creek is a fairly young school when you think about it. It pretty special to me. It's the first place I ever covered any type of high school football. That was Bo Melton's senior year, and Coach Watson. He instilled great culture into that school, and you've upheld that tradition. Look, you last had the regional title in 21. 13-0 season. And you had some pretty special playmakers, like JoJo and things like that. This year's team is very well rounded, like we're talking a little bit off camera. But for those who don't know, just take us through the storyline of the 2025 Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a good job of finding balance on offense. Our quarterback, French Mambathea, he now has 900 yards rushing. He's thrown for 1,800 yards, and he has 30 total touchdowns. So he's done a great job really spearheading the offense and commanding the huddle and doing it the right way. Amir Dunbar has 4,500 career rushing yards. He's the school's all-time leading rusher. He essentially holds every rushing record in Cedar Creek history right now. So he's had a tremendous career. But he has 1,800 yards rushing this year with 21 touchdowns. The offensive line has done an unbelievable job all year of creating holes for us so we can run the football. And then, my guys outside are just tremendous. Jameer Canfield has over 1,200 yards of total offense and 18 touchdowns this year outside. He's been unbelievable. And, Gian King, especially of late, has really been stretching the field. He obviously had a big touchdown against Mainland, the game winner, from 65 out, but he's been unbelievable of late of, just stretching the field. I think he has 9 touchdowns now, 700 receiving yards. So he's starting to really put together a really nice season. And then on defense, man, we just swarmed the football. We're led by our 2 linebackers, Justice Payton and Jawan McIntosh Ward, guys that have been playing a lot of varsity football for a long time, guys that we trust with everything. Mason Beck holding it down the middle. He's a kid who, playing both sides of the ball, never takes a play off, just always in there. He's all 6'1", 295 pounds, and he does not take a snap off. Love watching him play and seeing what he's been able to do over the last couple of weeks. It's been like you said, man, we're a very well-rounded group, and I'm so proud of them right now, man. And I'm so excited that we get another week to play football.
And you did a good job putting together, listen, you went through arguably one of the toughest schedules. You open up with a tough loss against an Old Bridge team that made it all the way to a sectional final against Washington Township. You go through Mainland, exciting, close win there. And then your last one, you guys were trailing, I believe, at the half, right? Against Homedale?
Yeah, I mean, we were down 30-14 at one point.
I remember getting the updates, and when I thought I almost read it wrong, that when I saw the final score and you guys won, I was like, wow, look at these guys. They're fighting. Take me through that Homedale game. Yeah,
I mean, they had an explosive offense. Their quarterback, that kid Jack Cannon, is one of the best players I've seen at the high school level. He was tremendous. He was so tough. He's a smart kid. You could tell he's really commanding that offense. So, we knew we had to score a lot of points. So they scored to go up 30-14 with about a minute left in the half. And the big thing is we went down and scored. French Mambathea hit Ryan Staten for a touchdown with 1 second left on the clock. So we made it 30-20 going into half. And then we made some adjustments. Biggest thing was we wanted to keep our box strong against Homedale to make sure that the Cannon kid wasn't just running all over us. We felt good about our matchups outside, so we just played a little bit of man coverage in the back end, and we held them to 8 points in the second half. We essentially went on a 35-8 run to win that game. Kids are tough. They're resilient. And biggest thing is they don't flinch. We have confidence that we're never out of a game. And when you have that confidence from the kids, it makes your job as a coach a little bit easier. It really does, because they're holding it together, and they're a special group. They're a very special group.
Yeah, and the road is only going to get tougher here. You're going up against the reigning state champs in Old Tappan, a program that has a lot of history in the playoffs and, just, a storied program in North Jersey. Not even just public school. I know it's early in the week, but what are you kind of preparing the team for?
I mean, Coach Dunn is one of the best coaches in all of New Jersey. I mean, I think he's been there for 20 years. He's has a collection of titles under his belt. Like you just said, I think he's won multiple state Group 3 championships in the 4-year history of these these games. They're fast, they're physical, they're disciplined, and they're a tough team. And again, it's easy for me to sit up here and say, they're a good team, and any team that's playing this week is going to be good. There's 14 teams left in New Jersey that are going to be playing football this week, and we have to prepare the right way. We have to do this thing the right way, and credit to my kids, especially over the last 4 weeks. They've done an unbelievable job preparing week in and week out, and doing things the right way. We're practicing at a very high level. That's a very important thing, and we gotta play tough and physical back. And we've done that all year. So it's not like this is something that we're going to have to instill into our kids. We're a very tough, physical, and fast team too. We just got to continue to play that way. And if we do, I believe we'll put ourselves with an opportunity to do some good things on Friday night.
Coach, I don't want to keep you too much longer. Just 2 final questions here. Yep. I guess a lot of preparation and mental toughness that goes into a game like this. But what are you looking forward to most about Friday's matchup?
Well, listen, it's a state championship game. We get to play up against a North Jersey team, and we're doing it at a big venue. I'll be honest with you, in 2019, I was an assistant coach at Union High School, and I got to play at MetLife. We got to play Ridgewood. I think you were actually at that game.
I was at that game.
Yeah.
Yes, Andrew Sanborn.
Yep, Andrew Sanborn was quarterback, and I mean, what I'm saying is, if kids never experience playing at MetLife for these games, it's an incredible atmosphere that they give you, and I'm excited for my kids to feel that, because they earn that. They earn the right to play in this game, and I think someone brought it up to me the other day, and I kind of looked the other way and rolled my eyes. Someone said, based on who you're playing, you're kind of playing with house money. I don't believe in that at all. We're not playing with house money. We're going in to win this game, and we have to prepare at a high level because they are a very good team. But this is not one of those things where we're going to take a 2-hour trip and lay down. We're gonna prepare the right way and do this thing the right way. And like I said, if we play fast, physical, and disciplined, there's going to be opportunities for us to win this game on Friday night.
I love that. I almost want to end on that, but just one final question, Coach. For those who don't know, what does the rest of the state need to know about the 2025 Cedar Creek Pirates on Friday in their Group 3 state championship matchup with Old Tappan?
We're gonna be tough. We're gonna be resilient. We're gonna play together. We're gonna play for each other. That's it. And that's what we've been doing all year. That's what these kids have been doing for their 4 years since they've been at Cedar Creek. It's one of the tougher groups that you're ever gonna get. We're gonna play physical and we're gonna play discipline. So, like I said before, Neri, if we do this thing the right way, we prepare the right way, which I anticipate we will. This could be a really good game Friday night, and I know that Old Tappan is going to prepare the right way. I know that they're going to be a well prepared, well coached team that plays at a very high level. So, we just, like I said, we're going to take this business trip up north and see what we can do.
Awesome. Well, Coach, good luck this Friday. We'll be watching. Hopefully, we'll be there. And listen, like you said, 2-hour drive. It's just time to leave it all out there. Good luck, man.
Thank you, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, my next guest just kicked Cedar Grove to MetLife Stadium for a rematch with Glassboro for the Group 1 state championship. Let's welcome in Cedar Grove kicker Sebastian Kovacs. Welcome.
What's up? How you doing?
Doing great, brother. Doing great. If you're getting this interview now, that means you're still alive. Tell me, how's it feel to be going to MetLife?
It feels awesome. It's great to get another chance to play Glassboro in a great stadium. I mean, what else can a kid dream for?
Yeah, and listen, this Cedar Grove team battled all year long. You had a couple tough losses here. Obviously, like we were just talking about off camera, Caldwell always a big matchup. But you take down an undefeated New Prov team, Mountain Lakes. They have a lot of playoff history. Butler, the same thing. Just talk about this playoff run that the Panthers were going through.
I mean, we had one of the best runs I've ever played through in my entire life so far. I mean, I believe we were 6-3 coming into the playoffs, and I was really just praying almost every game that we make it through, and we made it through almost every single week, and now we're on the last week.
Yeah, and new team, I gotta ask. It must have been weird without Steven Paradiso under center. I mean, for his run there at Cedar Grove, it feels like he was there for more than 4 years. But just talk about this year's team and stepping up and picking up where last year's team left off.
I mean, we had the entire team step up. Last year we had all seniors. None of us really played that much except for either mag team on defense or maybe like a couple offensive teams. But I would say Pierce Osfog, Jerry Tarja, Thomas, Michael Canarelli, Jake Catanzarite, Jake Saraiva. We've had Bryce Kent, Evan Skabich. We've had so many kids stand out so far. Michael Ruggiano, Nate Mason. We've had everyone. Everyone's been popping out, and we've just been playing with our heart, just leaving it all on the field.
Yeah, and that last one was a thriller. We were just talking off camera. I watched the video. Insane. You nailed the kick to go to MetLife. Just take me through that game with Butler and everything that led up to that big moment.
Man, I mean, both teams came out firing. I mean, everyone was giving it 100%, maybe 110%. And then we got such a great stop. I believe maybe it was like 2 minutes left. In the fourth quarter, we got a great stop on defense. George DeCar sacked the quarterback. And it just brought our team to a different level, I feel like it. And then it came to the field goal. And I just had to lock in.
What's going through your mind, say when you're when you're squaring it up?
I just have to think about my technique. I have to stay composed, relaxed, just remind myself it's going to go in, and it went in.
How many times in practice or in off season, things like that, did you create a scenario like that? And was it surreal when you saw it come to fruition?
To be honest, that Thursday before the game, me and my coach and my snapper and my holder ran through a 10-second scenario where we were on the sideline and it came down to 10 seconds. We counted down, ran into the middle of the field. I hit it from the 40-yard line, and we did it.
That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, I have to ask, but I can imagine where does that one rank for you in terms of kicks made?
All time. So far, all time. That was one of the greatest moments of mine. I hope people can see that was also an amazing moment.
For sure, man. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Listen, you got a chance at some get back at Glassboro, a very high-powered team, a juggernaut this season. They're keeping an undefeated record alive. I guess learning from last year, what are you guys kind of just preparing yourselves for this time around?
We're just preparing for the speed that the team brings, that their team brings, We just gotta play like we've been playing for the past 4 games. We've defeated undefeated teams before. I mean, we can do it again.
And what does the rest of the state need to know about the Cedar Grove Panthers on Friday at MetLife versus Glassboro for the Group 1 State Championship?
That we're bringing it all. Everyone's bringing it. Coaches, cheerleaders, water girls, everyone. We're all bringing it. 100% energy. We're just there to win.
All right, I love it, Sebastian. Good luck this weekend, and we'll definitely be watching. All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity with you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Good luck. Man, appreciate all those guys stopping by, especially Coach Camp and Coach Russo. I know it's a big emotional matchup for both of them, so it's unfortunate they both can't walk away with some hardware, but that's what make this game so beautiful. So I'm just hoping for a great 10 a.m. matchup. Jeez, we got to show these guys some respect. I mean, come on. Non-public B, non-public A final. That's primetime games right there. We can't be having no breakfast bowls for that. But I digress. Now, you see, we had those interviews for you, but that's not the only matchups going down, especially on Friday. We have some great games lined up for you. So without further ado, let's get into our breakdowns of the state finals across New Jersey this week and a little bit of next week. All right, and we'll get it jumping with my guys. We were just speaking about DePaul Catholic, Paramus Catholic, non-public B final kicking off at 10 a.m. at MetLife. Paramus Catholic 6-6, DePaul Catholic 7-4. Both these teams putting together some of the toughest schedules, not only in North Jersey, in the state, but in the country. Paramus Catholic, took down RBC twice this year. That was their main competition to get into this game. This last one very decisively. I believe they took that one 50-30. And then the first matchup with the Caseys 30-16. Some of their other losses include Iona Prep, St. Joe's Montville, Bergen Catholic, and Don Bosco, just to name a few. Nothing big. Just some big state powers with a lot of championship history. And then as far as DePaul, it's the same thing. They lost to St. Joe's Montville. They lost to Don Bosco. They lost a close one to, not a close one, but they lost a heartbreaker to Del Barton 28-6. Like Coach said, they felt like they didn't really get off the bus in that one. And then good counsel out of Washington, D.C. that has produced great talent, like the Diggs brothers and many others. So both these teams with very tough schedules. I know we like to see those O's and the ones after the first number, but listen, this is what it is. These guys play tough opponents, so that's why they're still standing. All right. Now, as far as that first matchup, like we just heard from both coaches, it was a lot closer than people made it seem. 26-14 didn't really tell the whole story. DePaul was only up. Really, Paramus Catholic was leading at the half, and just talking to both coaches, you can definitely tell that Paramus Catholic had very well could have walked away with this game. It's just a matter of, DePaul is just so second half tested, like I said, with Coach Camp and just a great infrastructure of coaches there. Coach McKenna, I know, is still lurking around, giving any type of insight that he can. So they are just so well prepared. Like I said, great staff, very bought in, and look, championship experience is definitely going to be in their favor. Like I said, this is their 5th straight time going, so they have the routine down, just like Coach said. So it's definitely going to play a big factor in for them. And then for Paramus Catholic, that almost works in their favor as well, right? I mean, they kind of don't know any better. Maybe something that they weren't going to be here, and we were just going to get Gabe Kemp and RBC facing off with DePaul for like the millionth time. But look, the Paladins fought for the right to be here, and like you heard Coach said, they're going to make the most of their opportunity. DePaul definitely wins the quarterback battle in this one. They have Derek Zammit, the number 1 quarterback in the state. Washington commit has just been an absolute phenom these last 4 years. I always say he's one of these 6-year kids. It feels like he's been playing for, this guy's got NFL tenure. He's been playing for a while, but yes, he has graced our screens for the last 4 years and has given us some great moments, and especially if you're a Spartan fan. But look, both these teams can put up points. It's just a matter of whose defense is really going to buckle down. DePaul in the past, as you hear us talk about their offense, but they have had some they've had some great defensive players. I was going to say, they got my guy, University of Miami commit Logan Nagel, holding it down for him. And, this is definitely going to be the toughest test for Paramus Catholic this season, I do believe. They're getting a revenge game, so I know there's a lot of emotions that go into that. They faced off versus the likes of a Joe's and a Bosco, so I feel odd saying it is their toughest matchup, but listen, it is, neutral site. You're playing early, and it's for all the chips on the table. And then you just heard, not that this is going to play a huge factor for everybody else, but for Coach Nick Campanile, obviously, a lot of emotions in this one, having so much history with PC. So, we'll see if that plays a factor into the game. But look, it's going to be a tough one. I don't expect a blowout. I don't expect a 2-score lead, really at all in this one. I expect probably a 10-7 game at halftime. And this one's just going to come down to one possession. All right, one possession. I can see this coming down to a goal line stand with the Paramus Catholic offense, DePaul Catholic defense. So tough to pick an outright winner in this one. I know you're probably going to hear that and be like, man, this guy says that about all his games, but it really is, state championship game, 2 high caliber programs with a lot of talent and, in my opinion, 2 of the best coaches in the state. So, yeah, I do think it's going to come down to one possession. It could come down to a missed extra point, something like that, made field goal. Now, I am going to lean towards DePaul in this one just because they have the playoff experience, not only with coach, but with players like Derek Zammit. And, they've not only embraced this championship mentality and pedigree, but they've lived it and they've said it. So I do think that is going to play a factor into it. That's not to take away from Paramus Catholic. I think this season has set an immense standard, and I do think this will not be a flash in the pan. We will be seeing PC back in the playoff mix for at least the next couple years, and those RBC battles are going to get very, very interesting. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards DePaul in this one, but that's not to say Paramus Catholic can't come out on top. They, like I said, they almost don't know any better. So what do they have to lose? So that's all I got to say about that matchup. Like I said, I wish both teams could win, but that's just how it goes down. So, all right, moving along. Our Group 5 game going down at MetLife Stadium. PCTI versus Washington Township. The 10-3 Bulldogs taking on the undefeated Minutemen. Now, I have not seen PCTI in person. Have kept up with the box scores. Washington Township, I was fortunate enough to see them earlier in the season versus Rancocas Valley. And if you've been listening to the show, not to take anything away from them, but that was a banged-up Rancocas Valley team, so I feel like I didn't get the full experience, but just seeing how they've dominated, and listen, they're undefeated for a reason. They have a great quarterback, and Cole Aquino really knows how to run that offense. They're speedy, and, I single him out, but this is a true team. These guys really work as 11 out there, and they seem like a nightmare to prepare for, so. On the other side, we have PCTI, who, has strung together some great wins this year. They open up against West Orange with a huge dub. Listen, you can't win them all, and they've had some great playmakers like Ian McDuffie, who the PCTI always produces, a great program. So no shocker to see them here. I like them in that matchup against Bridgewater Raritan. I thought their matchup with West Orange the second time around. Shout out to Farrah Green Jr. for scoring 6 touchdowns by himself. This team, they just have some impressive wins under their belt. So this one really is going to come down to defense. It's a matter of, can PCTI hold down and disrupt Washington Township's, like I said, I don't want to use like military references, but they almost feel like an army. Like they march as one. Like they execute orders like no team I've seen this season, if I'm being honest with you. So I think it'll be, definitely be a close game for the most part. I can't see a blowout. And to be honest with you, I think history might play a factor in this one. I mean, PCTI has fallen in this game to Toms River North twice, and twice or 3 times. I'm blanking right now, but they have experience losing this game, so I do think that's going to play a factor. Now to make a long-winded answer, hopefully short, who's going to win? It's another one of these, it's going to be tough picks, but, the more I think about it, I'm thinking of, and listen, Washington Township did play a tough schedule. I do think we're going to see, I wouldn't call it an upset, but I think we will be shocked to see PCTI roll out of here with a dub. And that's no disrespect to Washington Township. I'm just saying, I've been around this game for a minute, and you can just kind of sense these things. I think PCTI is going to shock the state, and I think we're going to see them hand Washington Township their only loss this year. But who knows? I could be wrong. All right, moving along, another MetLife matchup, Cedar Creek at Old Tappan. These are two programs that have history, who are no strangers to success. Old Tappan, the reigning Group 3 state champion. And then as for Cedar Creek, I believe 2021 was their last time they hoisted some championship hardware. They finished 13-0. That's before they expanded the playoff a little bit more, so they hadn't reached this far into the postseason. But Cedar Creek 11-2, Old Tappan undefeated. They've put together a lot of impressive wins that include Northern Highlands, Ramapo, things like that. And as far as Cedar Creek, I know they have 2 losses on them, Ocean City and Old Bridge, and that's an Old Bridge team that fought for a sectional final against the Washington Township, even if it was maybe not that much in the game, maybe to the half, but they were competing for a sectional final against Washington Township and just ran into a buzzsaw. But this one definitely not favoring Cedar Creek. The ride is far from the Atlantic City area to almost New York City. And yeah, for for Old Tappan, this is familiar stomping grounds. I've seen them hoist state titles in this building. Coach Dunn, as you heard Coach Melody say, great job. Over 20 years there. He's in search of his 200th win if he gets this one. And yeah, they just listen. These guys play great team football, even though they might not have a stud D1 standout. They really know how to get the best out of their players, and Group 3 and 4 these last couple of years is insane with some of the matchups we've gotten. But yeah, listen, I'm rolling with Old Tappan more in this one. Like I said, they have the recent success. They've played an extremely hard schedule. It's not to say Cedar Creek hasn't, but I just think the Golden Knights are on something else, and I think we'll be treated to a great final. Cedar Creek does have some talent, and they can sneak up on you. I mean, they were trailing against Homedale, like I was just talking about with Coach, and insane to look back to see how they handle business and win that one 48-38. But I'm feeling Old Tappan in this one. All right, moving along. We have the nightcap for MetLife Stadium. St. Joe's Montvale, Don Bosco Prep movie. It don't get much bigger than this. I know you can say that, well, if Bergen Catholic was in it, it would be just as big too. Okay, you got me there. So we got two of the three, I won't even say two of the three best teams, because there's a lot of good teams, but this is our first time not seeing Bergen here in a while, and I was talking to Coach Camp. I'm not sure if I said it in the interview or not. Maybe I said it off camera to him, but the comments I've heard about Bergen Catholic, falling to Don Bosco, it is what it is. We were only asking Coach Vito Campanile to win 5 straight state titles. So, if how do I put this? I guess if that's humiliating or that's the standard, then I'd rather have that, So shout out to Coach Vito and those guys. But, we got the Green Knights versus the Ironmen. They already met once this year. Bosco won in overtime at Joe's, with a game-winning kick. Joe's kind of flubbed theirs. So that was the story there. So Joe's has had this one circled. Bosco, number 1 team all year, number 1 defense. They've been battle-tested. They played some hard ones. They opened up the season with a big win in Melissa, Texas, where they came back. They took down Bergen, who was, like I said, riding their 4th straight non-public A title. They took them down at home. They won this close one on the road versus Joe's. And they defended their turf again against Bergen, definitively. So, this is a scary Bosco team. Coach Sabella has them playing lights out. And listen, it's a good thing this one's being played in a neutral site, because, listen, that, going up the hill in Ramsey was rough this year. I'll tell you that. The guys were rocking. The guys and gals were rocking up there. So that's the one thing that I think Joe's can kind of wipe their brow about. Just so much talent on both sides. Defensive playmakers like Makai, All-American Makai Allen, and young and up and coming guys like Phoenix Evans. And then on Joe's side, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Lamar Best this year, but even their quarterback Mason Grice stepping up, and then the big draw Nate Bailey, the Harvard man, just was key in that win against Bergen on the road. And Kaishawn Bryant, and just so many KJ, just so many guys you can go down the list of on Joe's. And then the coaching, of Coach Sabella got his team here last year. Unfortunately fell short to Bergen Catholic. And then on the other side, Coach Augie Hoffman left for the college scene for a couple years, is back, and it almost seems like they don't talk about those years in Joe's without him. It's nothing against those guys. It's just he's meant so much to this program, and yeah, it's always better when Coach Augie's back in the mix. So there's a reason why Joe's has had the year they've had, and it's just a culmination of all those things coming together. But you're going to hear me say that same spiel that I've been saying. This is a close one. It's going to come down to offense and defense, one possession, because it's true. All right, it's true. It's really going to be about who makes one less error on one drive, if I'm being honest with you, and maybe a fumble or a high snap happens and somebody capitalizes on that. I can honestly see that that's where this one is going. I am going to lean towards Don Bosco, and I lean towards them only saying that they really did have the number one defense. They were just so solid. Even when they could give up a big play, but like I was telling Coach, they know how to make it up, and they play great red zone defense, great goal line defense. So shout out to the entire coaching staff and all those kids. And that's not to take away from St. Joe's. I've seen them. They played the first half. They played one of the best first halves I've seen this year versus Bergen. Penalties kind of got to them late in that game, whether they were self-inflicted or some questionable reffing. That's I'm not here to wear a tinfoil hat, but that was my only concern with Joe's was I was joking. I don't know if we said it on camera, but talking with Coach Russo, he said it was amazing in that game. They built a statue for Coach Augie, they tore it down, and then they built it again all in the span of one afternoon. So it was a little bit of a rough ride for them, but that's why you prep and you try to clean those things up. So I'm not going to hold that against them. I would not be shocked though if Joe's pulls this one out. Like I said, Nate Bailey and company, these are some scrappy kids. These are some scrappy kids that are also super, super talented and well coached and disciplined. So like I said, it's nothing against Joe's, just somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. So I am going to lean towards Don Bosco. If I had to give a score prediction, let's say 31-28 Bosco. All right, and that is going to do it for our MetLife games. Going down to Piscataway, we got some Group 1 action. Cedar Grove versus Glassboro. You saw our interview there with Sebastian Kovacs, who kicked Cedar Grove to an amazing win over Butler to get here. As far as Glassboro, they're in search of their second straight undefeated Group 1 title season. They've had tremendous talent. They've been blessed with some tremendous talent. The Saab brothers, unfortunate. We won't be seeing both of them next year as they prepare to. Xavier will be back. But yeah, listen, what Coach Breaker has done with this program is nothing short of incredible. Glassboro has, state championship history, but they are just on a whole different level right now. I mean, he's got college coaches lined up to see Group 1 football, and it's not just the Saab brothers. The supporting cast is great. The defense is great. And it almost feels like all of South Jersey is bought in on Glassboro, which is just it's a great thing to see. I think it's great for public school football. And listen, that's my guy. So hats off to them. And I'm a Rowan alum, so I'm always gonna have love for the borough. Cedar Grove, no stranger to championship battles as well. They lost this game last year. They had to replace a bunch of seniors, including, quarterback Steven Paradiso, who I feel, once again, he's like one of these like 6-year kids. You can't believe how long he's been playing there. Look, this one I don't expect to be close. I think Glassboro is just rolling. They're on a whole nother level. And I think Coach Breaker puts himself into a different, almost like a different bracket and joins an elite class of South Jersey coaching. So I expect Glassboro to take care of business. And back-to-back undefeated state championship seasons for Coach Breaker and the Glassboro Bulldogs. Let's go, baby. Ramapo versus Winslow. Now, look, on paper, I'm not going to lie. We should be leaning towards an indefinite win by Winslow. But Brick Memorial, they beat Brick Memorial 14-12. And, Mustangs had them on the ropes for a little bit there. As for Ramapo, they got some get back against Phillipsburg, who eliminated them in their semifinal game last year. And, the Raiders look great on the road, unfazed. Quarterback Casey Grusser just doing what he had to do. That first big pass of I think it was like the second play of the game, set Ramapo up for a touchdown. So puts them at the goal line. So they definitely have talent at the quarterback and receiver positions. Defense, the run game defense definitely needs to get cleaned up before their matchup with Winslow. And, the list goes on. For Winslow, they got playmakers like Boom and quarterback Jalen Parker. We saw him on earlier this year on the show this year. Shout out to him. This is arguably the best public team state. Oh my gosh. This is the best public team in the state. And it's hard to go against them, but if any program is going to give them trouble, it's Ramapo, who has state championship experience. They have a long history of winning, so they're privy to the playoffs, how to prepare, and how to go about this game. Speaking with Ramapo after the game, you would think drawing Winslow would leave you a little shook, but these guys were ready, man. They could have ran it back, especially they had so much juice left in that Phillipsburg game. So we'll see if it travels over. Look, Winslow has both these teams put together great, tough schedules for public schools. I like Northern Highlands. I mean, Ramapo playing teams like Northern Highlands and Old Tappan. That'll get you ready in general. And then for Winslow, you're playing the likes of IMG and Bergen Catholic. I mean, hats off to you. You should win the state title, I guess, just based off of that type of experience. You would be ready, right? I am going to favor Winslow in this one. They are the reigning state champions. I think they have a little bit more talent, but I think this one's going to be a little closer than people expect. And I want to give, I want to give Ramapo. I want to give Ramapo their due. I'm just going to lean a little bit more towards Winslow in this one. Like I said, I think they have some explosive playmakers, and I think, just having that championship experience is really, really going to favor them being at a, neutral site and all that. So I'm going Winslow. All right, and then the season finale, Shabazz Camden going down at Shai Stadium as well. Both these teams 11-1, 11-2. Shabazz, their only loss was to St. Peter's in a showcase game earlier in the year. They got blown out in that one, but you're facing off against one of the Final Four in non-public A. So these things will happen. Since then, they have not looked back. And then Camden, 11-2 behind my guy, Coach Rob Hinson. Not the first coach that allowed me on the practice field with them, but one of the first. He might have been 2 or 3, but we go way back. Has coached the likes of Devin Leary and a boatload of other great players. This is going to be a really good one. I know both teams on both sides of the ball are just stacked up with great talent. The Shabazz, like I said, I've seen them in person. I know they can move the ball, and they were moving the ball against St. Peter's Prep. They just couldn't finish out on some of these plays, but that's going to happen when you're going up against multiple D1 talent. And then, Camden, with a fairly good schedule to get here, they won a tough one on the road in Haddonfield, who's, has a lot of championship experience. Look, like I said, I only saw Shabazz in one game, and it didn't really go well in their favor. But they were impressive. You can just tell a team is impressive in a loss. That's not to take away from Camden. Shabazz is one of those programs that just has great tradition, and it seems like they're always in the mix here at the end. So I think this will be another tough one. I can see the Bulldogs pulling away late in this one, but I'm going to lean a little bit more towards Shabazz. Like I said, this is another one-score game. I hate to keep saying that, but it is what it is, and yeah, I'm going Bulldogs. Going Bulldogs to bring it home. And do they take the Soul Bowl? Not sure about that, but Thanksgiving games are a whole nother deal. I don't want to say we should do away with them because I know people got mixed emotions, but damn it, it's state championship week. You got to lock in. All right. So that will do it for our breakdowns, and those will be the final games we preview for the 2025 season. I want to thank everybody who rocked with us this year. We look forward to the finale at both neutral sites. For me, it's always special going up to MetLife. A lot of good memories. You always see people, the real football heads and coaches pop out, and they don't need no invitation. But bittersweet feeling. It's crazy because I remember prepping for the first show this season, and you're always nervous. You're like, is this first guest hype enough? Is this who the people want to hear from? Are we doing a good job? And you guys and gals have been great this entire year and have supported us, and I can't thank you enough for helping us boost, New Jersey high school football, our presence in New Jersey high school football, and overall just getting all these kids tape. And, we want to try to get as many people to the next level as possible, and we don't want to just focus in on our 5 stars. We want to get our diamonds in the rough. Their due, and like I said, it don't matter what level you play at, community college, junior college, D3, D2, D1, AA, FBS, all that. We are super proud of all of our New Jersey athletes, and I am just blessed that I get to do this another season, and I hope to see you for another one next year. But we will get into that mushy stuff in the finale as we will recap some of our best moments. And as always, I'm going to give you my spiel. I hope you like the show. Give us a like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments how we did, where you're headed, maybe where we got some stuff wrong, and your predictions for this state championship weekend and week. But have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it with the fam. You never know when these moments come to a close, so just soak it all in. And as far as the football goes, eat good, watch some good ball on Thursday. And then as far as the state championships go, have fun, be safe, represent your community, team, and fam well. And we'll see you back here next week. All right, for the Garden Statement, I'm Neri Rodriguez.